All right, there's no better way to start your week, to start the tennis week, to start every week in general than betting weekly tennis live. Monday edition, Mitch Michaels, Dustin Fox, Road to Roland Garros is heating up. It's all part of the Bet Rivers Network. And as always, you can follow us on socials at Because We Win. Dustin Fox, my partner on this week's show. Always a pleasure. And yeah, being in the same state with you is nice, as is all this clay court tennis we can discuss.
I mean, we've got so much tennis to talk about. I mean, you come back home for what, a couple days here this weekend, and we've tried and tried and tried. We're about 40 minutes apart, and we have not been able to link up. So, unfortunately, we'll have to do it another time. But here we are in Ohio talking about Italian tennis.
Italian tennis, yeah, right, indeed. And there's a lot to get to. Recapping Madrid, we're going to talk about the outrights for Rome on the women's side, some of these qualifying matches heating up, and look ahead to Roland Garros as the road keeps getting messier and messier and more exciting. But as of right now, we do have some live matches. As always, download the Bet Rivers app and maybe get in on some of the live action. One of the ones that I'm looking at right now, and he's up big earlier, but Juan Manuel Cerundolo, younger brother of Francisco, is up a set on serve in the second against Pierre-Hughes Herbert. So we remember Herbert from back in the day at doubles specialist, won a bunch of majors. That's one of the matches on right now, as is a tight one with Thiago Monteiro taking on Federico Arnaboldi. It is 3-all break point for Monteiro in the first set there. So, Dustin, we're in the qualifying stages, some early matchups, but as we've seen some of these tournaments, some of these qualifiers have went on to not only make the main draw, but win a couple matches. So you could find some success stories day one.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, there's been qualifiers. I mean, there is all the time that happens where these guys, really start to come on. And sometimes it's guys that are just the up and comers, guys that have been playing challenger for a long time, and all of a sudden, these guys come on the scene. Like how about Ethan Quinn recently, who's just been grinding and makes a little bit of an impact and nearly took a set off Carlos Alcaraz on clay. So we'll see. It's interesting. Not a ton of stuff going on early today, but it's going to ramp up. You've got a ton of matches this week, and with the opening main draw, just days away. It's going to be exciting, especially with Sinner coming back for this tournament.
Yeah, and I want to get to that as well. We don't have any odds on the women's Rome main draw, which will start tomorrow. We do have some on the men for Wednesday, those that are set in stone. So that's going to be fun to look at. There are a couple women's qualifying matches coming up and some familiar names, some interesting names, right? You have Alize Cornet, who retired, bounced back, is going to play a little bit, taking on Anna Bondar. Cornet's comeback. Now, we don't know what to expect, but she's a plus 325 dog, someone that when she was playing, Dustin had remarkable consistency of just showing up and making some solid runs in each Grand Slam. But 3-1 underdog, I think they're expecting the rust to kind of still be on her in this qualifying.
Yeah, I would say the rust will probably still be there. Bodnar's been playing pretty well. I, in fact, have won a couple shekels on her in the last couple of tournaments. So she's been playing more consistent. Obviously, I mean, Cornet she's ranked 613, but the comeback is about to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, you said plus 350, something like that.
325 right now, but yeah, it's an interesting one. And I would also just say in terms of that, like we've seen comebacks of players that, no disrespect to Cornet, but maybe been a little more accomplished, and even they've struggled, Dustin. So I think maybe if you're looking at a bet, and I'm just looking at the Bet Rivers app right now, minus 106 for the under 19 and a half games. So maybe it could be a little less than that, and you can get your profit, get your value that way. Because, yeah, even regardless of who it's been, whether it was Kvitova coming back, even Naomi Osaka, I think Svitolina might be the exception to that because she just played well right away. But, yeah, maybe it'll take some time for her to get that rust off, and we'll see.
What do you think about Osaka playing some challenger?
Won the challenger, won the one last week.
She did.
First clay title.
Who was the gal she faced in the semis? Leela?
Yeah, she played, hold that 1 second. She played Jean, actually.
Jean, yeah. And she took the second set. I actually watched that match, and she took the second set. I'm like, okay. And then she gets bageled in the third set by Osaka. It's like, I was listening to some of the, the nothing major guys, and they were talking about how like going to challengers can be challenging as a veteran in the sport, but she won, so it's a good thing. If you go down and don't win, it could be a problem, especially for somebody who's battled some in terms of staying in it mentally. Yeah, it could be a big deal, but good for her, and she played awesome.
Well, there's one tomorrow. We don't have a line for it yet, but whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday, she drew what I think is an ideal first-round matchup. She drew Sara Errani, who might have the weakest serve in tennis. I think I could go on a limb and say that, and I think that
she's a double specialist, man. Double specialist.
Yeah, great doubles player. But yeah, Osaka needing the matches per coach Patrick Mortag, who said that on Tennis Channel. He said, look, she's hitting the ball well. She just needs matches. She's had some physical fitness issues, and it's good to see her get match tough. And on clay, where she, as we know, by not having the title before yesterday, it's good to see she's buying into all surfaces, not just her favorite on the hard court. So that was certainly a big one. Also a challenger winner as well. Alex Mickelson getting the job done yesterday. No one really saw that coming in.
That was in Portugal, right?
Portugal, yeah.
Good for him. I mean, listen, I've been a fan of him for a while. Love watching him in the next gen stuff. This past, was it December that they didn't do the next gen? Either way, he's a fun player to watch, and I never thought that he would be like, I just thought he'd be like one of those big tall dudes who's got a big serve, but his game is really, really turned on. I mean, across the court, he can do it all.
We've also got a match later today on the women's qualifying side. Maya Joints in action. She's a plus 125 underdog in her matchup against Maria Lourdes Carle. Minus 147 or minus 143 for Carle in that one. And I'm a Maya Joint fan, but I don't think the play is her today, given the track record on clay, given Carle's form. I think I'd go with the favorite in this one, but Joint trying to find some momentum, lost to Emma Navarro in Madrid. Maybe this is where she turns it around.
I don't know enough about her. I've seen her play a couple times. Again, Carle, not a ton on her, but yeah, I mean, you'd be the expert there. Both those players are kind of relatively new for me.
Well, she went through qualifying in Madrid, did Carle, and she beat Bernarda Pera, she beat Shramkova, and lost to Linda Noskova, who is a tough player as well. I think that was like 7-5, 6-1. So I would just go with someone with a little more familiarity on that surface, which we've seen. This is that time of year, especially, and no one more than us, Dustin, likes those young American players with some hype on them. But there's some getting used to. Maybe this is like the training wheels period, your first season on the clay, the European clay, with players that grew up on it, know the surface, and can just outfox you in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, speaking of players that grew up on the surface, that's Casper Ruud, who just won the big final yesterday, his first Masters 1000. And, he's from Norway, grew up playing on the red dirt. And it's different, obviously, than what you see here in the States or at some other places. So to see some of these players get on the red clay for the first time in these big tournaments, it's fascinating to see how they can either adjust like rapidly or take some time, like a Daniil Medvedev who hated it and now is starting to, I think, convince himself mentally that he likes it, even if he's just telling himself that. But it is challenging. That's what I love about tennis, though, is the different surfaces I think make for it just makes the game more challenging.
Yeah, it certainly was long overdue for Ruud, as our commenter says there, John Swart 47. I think that match was a lot about what was at stake for Ruud. Draper was. Draper's getting better every day, and it's great to see him on clay, which I do think Madrid suits his game with the high bounces and the altitude. But Casper Ruud won, and he won it his way, right? 3 sets, had to figure out his opponent, had to adjust his styles to match his patterns. Even at the end, too, and I know Jim Courier on the broadcast was saying it, right? Like he put all of his eggs in the I'm going to serve it out basket, and it was a risk, right? He didn't try to go for the break at 5-3. He kind of let that game slip away, and he looks like a genius because he won, Dustin. But if he hadn't, we could have been thinking a little different. I know there was a lot of people that probably went to bet Rivers and live bet a Draper break, which I understood, but was not to be.
It happens so many times in these tournaments. You go to serve it out, and the player just, if you don't win those first 2 points or one of those first 2 points, it gets a little bit dicey. I think it was a love hold for him too to serve it out, by the way. And or maybe 40-15, but I'm pretty sure it was a love hold. But either way, and he wins it on his infamous forehand, which he smashed, and Draper had no answer.
Last week, and I remember looking at it on Bet Rivers, Draper was by the odds, I think 22-1 going into the French Open. And that number, as is the case, right? Every time we talk about the road to Roland Garros, it's what happens, a big result, and how the odds reflect. It's 16-1. So we've already seen it drop, and This is the question mark time. We've all been spoiled by the Rafa era, and then there's Novak, and maybe Fed can make it interesting and stand. But the first time we've got on the men's side all these openings, and at 16-1, depending on the draw and depending on a couple other factors, I think Ruud is very alive, especially with this win, maybe unlocking something.
I certainly hope so, because he is a very likable player. He seems like just one of the nicest guys on tour. You hear so many great things said about him by many other of his peers. And I love listening to this guy in interviews. I love watching his game. I've seen interviews of him when he was a teenager. Like, this guy just really has a passion for tennis. He loves the sport. I think he just loves life, honestly.
Yeah.
And I love people like that who embrace it. And this guy is special. I just hope that he can continue to find the dog in him, so to speak, to get over the hump in some of these bigger tournaments. He's been to semifinals, he's been to finals. Like, we've seen him do it before. He just hasn't gotten over that hump until yesterday.
Man, 2022, that Alcaraz US Open final. He was a match away from #1 in the world too, which was crazy to think about. But yeah, another big win for the Rafael Nadal Tennis Academy, because Ruud did train there as a youngster, just getting going. So we'll see. Other thoughts as well. I mean, yeah, Draper is the one to watch too. But yeah, Jannik Sinner, as we're alluding to, is he the favorite to win Roland Garros right now? I think he's up there, but I just, with Alcaraz, if he's entering the draw and he's, by all reports, somewhat or mostly healthy, Dustin, I'm going to have a hard time putting anybody above him on clay. Sinner's rust first, how does he, and you can speak to this as an athlete yourself, right? Time off can be a good thing, can be good to regroup mentally and physically, work on some stuff, but you miss those matches. You miss being match or game tough. So how he plays in Rome locally and then into Roland Garros, it's not really a lot of lead up time to the year's second major.
No, it's not. The one thing I'd say about Jannik Sinner is, like, I mean, this guy's he's not really coming off of an injury. I mean, the guy's, I assume, been training his butt off every single day. I've seen how he trains. I mean, he's probably going to come into this in really good shape. He's going to be as healthy as he probably has ever been in his career. So that's going to help him. Now, the one thing you have to hope for is he hasn't played. There is a difference. Like, I tell people this all the time who never played football or professional sports. I was an American football player. And so we'd get to training camp and you'd play, you practice and you have scrimmages, but there was nothing that simulated a game until you got into the game. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, 6 plays into a drive and you're like, why am I so tired? I'm like, I was fine in practice. I was fine, when we were in the preseason, but all of a sudden now there's a different level of adrenaline, a different level of emotion. You've got fans, you've got adversity. Like, it's not just hitting with your coach, not just hitting with your buddy. You know what I mean? You're in a match, you're playing guys. He might be playing a qualifier in the first round. Who knows?
Right.
He could be playing Navone in the first round. So it's going to be a challenge for him, because whoever he plays every single time, when you're the top dog, and I'm sure there's guys on tour that don't like him because of what happened, just whether they know him or not. There are people that are going to think that he's a cheater.
Yeah.
I don't really have a great opinion on it one way or the other. I don't like cheaters, but this is what it is. It's a little fishy that he only got the 3-month suspension and now he's back for all the big tournaments. But nonetheless, people are going to be gunning for this guy, man. There's a target on this guy's back.
Yeah, you can't like in practice stop and be like, oh, that was a little off, let's redo this. It's all just one go. And the nerves are another level too. That said, as our commenter Dean Blake said in the chat, he is entered into Hamburg, which is a good pickup there. We'll see though, if he goes through and wins Rome, I don't know if he'll be playing Hamburg, but we'll see. But it's good to have the option to play another week as well if you need it. Plus 200 to win Roland Garros right now is Jannik Sinner. And again, like I said, if he wins Rome, watch that number and watch what happens to it. So we will see. Dustin Fox here, Mitch Michaels. It's Betting Weekly Tennis Live. I think now is a good time to kind of look at some of the other things that we were discussing on the show. We have a daily double that's always good to get to for tomorrow. So, Dustin, without further ado, let's go right to that right now, because we're trying to find the value. We're trying to find it. And even in qualifying, as we're going to get to on the ATP side, there is a ton of value in a couple matches that you highlighted. Yeah,
I don't know if it's like a ton of. There's not a ton of matches tomorrow, first off, that have already been set in stone. So we're sort of got a tighter window to pick from some of these matches. But I went with Taberner on the money line at plus. Actually, I have it at even money or maybe plus 105, depending on where you're looking. Hopefully, you're looking on our site, Bet Rivers, our app, I should say.
Absolutely.
And then I took the over in the Offner Hanfman match, which is doesn't have a time on that. But these are all going to be before we wake up here in the States. But nonetheless, I mean, Hanfman, his serve has been a little inconsistent. He today faced Daniel, who took the second set off him, surprisingly, and then looked like he was going to cruise easily in the second set, got broke twice. So I think there'll be tons of breaks and opportunities. I think this could be a 3-setter. That's why I took over 22.5. So we'll put those together for a plus 250.
Okay.
Don't put your mortgage on it, but it's for fun, and hopefully we can make you a couple shekels before the Americans wake up.
I think the Hanfman match is an interesting one too. He's had success here and is a very physical player. Offner, as we've known too, can heat up on this surface. Has had some tough losses in the past too. So we'll see how the first set goes and look into that one. And I did want to mention we have outrights for the women, Dustin, going into Rome, which is good to look at here on the board on our screen. Iga Swiatek is plus 200, the favorite after a very tough loss to Coco Gauff. Sabalenka wins Madrid for the third time, plus 250. Then it's Gauff, Andreeva, Muhova, Svitolina, Pegula, Paulini, and you can see from there. But first thoughts on this board. I mean, what Arena Sabalenka is doing at the top of the game, Dustin, deserves a ton of credit and respect. I mean, how she's playing, it's one of the biggest gaps we've seen between number 1 and number 2 in the world on the WTA in a long time. And Rome plays more like Roland Garros. So if she does it again here, if she hoists another trophy, it's another warning shot to the field.
I loved the way Coco battled back yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
Or Saturday, I should say, against Sabalenka. Falls behind early and looked like she was going to get the second set. I mean, Arena is just so tough to close out, even a set. But I don't know if I'd take her. I do like the plus 600 on Coco. I don't know. She's kind of been a little bit more aggressive. I do. I'll tell you who I do not like right now. I am selling. Remember the what was the show on CNBC?
Which one?
With Jim, what's his face? He's like buy, sell,
Jim Cramer.
Yeah. Jim Cramer. Thank you. Yeah. That dude, crazy guy. Anywho, I'm selling stock on Iga Swiatek right now.
All right. So I wanted to get to Iga. The odds reflect a past champion's accomplishments. Madrid is an outlier. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses. Madrid is different than all the other clay tournaments, but she doesn't look the same, and that's clearly obvious to state. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing. That match against Coco was phenomenal game plan execution by Coco, but Iga was flustered, and she was, if anything, Dustin, she looked wrong-footed at times, which we never saw in clay from Iga. So I think I'm selling Iga at this price. I'm not selling her chances to figure it out, much like we've seen in the past from the all-time greats and play well on this surface. But there's something going on there, and I don't think this number justifies value. I think that's safe to say. But, I mean, the rest of the board, I'm just going to flash it again one more time. If Coco plays better, I mean, she went through Andreeva and Iga to get to Sabalenka. That number could be value going into it. How does Andreeva bounce back? And there might be a long shot here, and I'm wondering, some of those names further down the board, who could be that surprise semifinalist, maybe even further than that? Could Jasmine Paolini do it on the home surface? I'll tell you one that I'm
Ostapenko,
and maybe even we said Madison Keys, who's had success, Roland Garros semifinalist, if she's doing well, or a player like Naomi Osaka, who's riding high after that clay event.
Dude, Madison Keys now is the ultimate wild card where she could just steamroll, I think, anybody. And also get bageled.
Yeah, she could.
But like, it just depends on like what sort of mood she's in. She has this I don't give a bleep mentality now, especially now after getting her first major at the Aussie. It's like she's playing sort of with house money at her age to go into these tournaments now. I mean, I don't know. I like the way she's playing with sort of a reckless abandon right now.
Yeah, I want to actually look and see because you piqued my interest with Ostapenko. It's like where she is in the draw is also like the biggest, most exciting thing.
Yeah, I did not look at where she's at in the draw. I just looked at that juicy plus 4,000.
So she got the 17 number. So her first seed would be Muhova, who's pretty high. Muhova, if she gets to round 4, it's Paolini, and then she's in the section with Pegula. Yeah, so Iga would get her in the semis if she gets there, which is probably a win for Iga at this point to just not see her until the semis. Yeah, there's some wild cards here. There certainly are. I think Paulini at home could have a good tournament. I think she could play well on this surface, and her Achilles heel are those big hitters. So we'll see there. But we've also got some matches tomorrow in Rome to look at on the board, and those were your two there. I just wanted to highlight that again. Offner, if you want to play the Offner-Hampton match, minus 165 to win for Offner. That spread is just a game and a half. Jamie Feria, who is the youngster, is a even money play against Carlos Taberner. So we'll see. I mean, those are some interesting ones. I think we're always excited for any level of tennis, but I mean, I'm bringing it up again. Some of these qualifiers have been doing damage in the main draw once they get there, and so have Dustin lucky losers.
Yes. The lucky losers are always fascinating to me because it's like Mr. Irrelevant in football, who's the last player drafted in the NFL draft. You give him this name, it's like, oh, you're irrelevant. You're not good enough. You're a lucky loser. You just barely got in, man. These dudes, and gals come into these tournaments sometimes with just a chip on their shoulder, man. And you never. I mean, only takes one. You get one or two matches under their belts in a couple of wins, maybe a big win, and then there's momentum.
I want to look at some of the Wednesday men's lines we see on the Bet Rivers app. Remember, go download it and check out these matches. These are listed for Wednesday, but the lines could move. And one of them I wanted your take on was Jordan Thompson at minus 162 against Giovanni Mpetshi Perricard plus 130 for the big man from France. Clay's a little different, but Thompson, another wild card in his style. I think styles make fights, and this is just a fascinating one for me.
It is fascinating. Perricard is so fun to watch. At least watch him serve. If he develops a little bit of a better baseline game and some better hands with his volleys, like I think he'll have a chance to be a good player. But if he doesn't, he's just going to be John Isner. Or Riley Opelka. Opelka's, he's getting better now that he's healthy, but still, I mean, you're sort of limited. He goes for first serves on every serve because he plays the numbers, but there's double faults in big moments, and one game. All it takes is one game where he falls behind Love 40, and I've seen him double fault on break points,
right,
all the time. In fact,
my up and over play of the day, a match I think is going to go well into the third set, would be Greek Sport Kekmanovic. Those two, that's a heck of a first round matchup.
Yeah,
two players that are known fighters too. So I don't think that's going to be a short match at all. Other matches that I'm looking at that we can see could be my fatigue factor in a reality. I kind of like the American Marcos Giron at plus 135 against Gabriel Diallo. Great run at Madrid, but new tournament starting back at 0. So Giron's a battler as well. I think that could be a spot for him to pull off the slight upset.
My Viore boy. I mean, we rock Viore together. That's my brand, my tennis brand too. So I'm always a fan of Giron. I like the fact that he's been playing some really good tennis, especially since he won Newport last year, and has now been getting some pretty big wins. And playing. And at least if he's not winning, he's pushing some of these matches against really good players to 3 sets.
He is. He certainly is. Another one that I wanted to ask you on your thought, just a general theory question. Where are you with Alexander Bublik matches and betting on them? For it, against it? Just see, because he's got an interesting one tomorrow.
Not against Jakub Menchik, but everyone else I'll bet it on Bublik. I've always been a Bublik fan. We've talked about this maybe before.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew his therapist's number. Like, could I call him or her before the match and find out like where his mindset is? Because if he's locked in, and nobody beating him. He plays with anybody.
Roman Safilin, interesting matchup, right? Big hitter, doesn't have the weapons.
Oh, yeah.
That's for that match, and we only have the odds to win. It's scheduled for Wednesday, but we have odds to win at Bublik minus 125, Safilin plus 102, and then the over/under is 22.5 games. So let's see if we have a game, if we have a day there. Also shouting out some other players I know you like. Moutet's back in action, so we got a Moutet match.
Moutet. That's my guy.
Yeah, and on
He's
clay,
crazy.
I think He's minus 265 against Hijikata, so maybe that's a parlay, or if you're looking to pair him with someone. I don't know that I trust him to win in straight sets, though. He's not. I don't know that he's come to that level, even as a favorite.
Oh, because he's also known to just have breakdowns and giveaway sets.
Yeah.
So he's very similar to Bublik in a lot of ways.
Is that one where you would go with like a just to win, or are you trying to maybe make a set bet, like a first set, or?
I mean, if I like Moutet there, I take the money line and I find one or two other things that I like that are not minus 200. You know, if I find something that's minus 110, minus 120, put it with that. Maybe put in two of them, so make it a three teamer, and get some extra juice on it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at other matches tomorrow to see if there's any other like slight favorites that might stand out and be there. You have Jan-Lennard Struff against Nishioka. Struff's at minus 230. He's played well on the clay before. Nico Jarry, who I know you know all too well.
Jarry. I wanted Jarry so bad to what was it? I took him against Dimitrov and he lost against Dimitrov. But the previous round he played really well. He beat Navone. I like Jarry.
Minus 155 on the Bet Rivers app on Wednesday's match against Hugo Gaston, a player that he has
give me Jarry. I like Jarry on that one.
Noticeable power advantage over, so maybe that's the one. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then looking back at the live line, just updating where we are. And that Monteiro match, we got a deuce at 5-6. Monteiro serving to force a tiebreaker.
I didn't tell you guys, but I just snuck in a little live bet on Arnabaldi.
Oh wow! Oh, you went the other way. You went Arnabaldi.
I did. Well, I got plus 200 on it.
No, and I was gonna ask. No, I knew it was one way or the other, right? You were either gonna get the live bet plus 200, or like some people would, and I'm sure some of our fans and loyal customers of Bet Rivers out there, you wait till Monteiro loses the first set if he does, and you think he could win this in 3, which he's clearly proven he can win in 3.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
That's the time, right? It's when to find value. If you believe Arnabaldi, you get in now before it starts changing. But if you're Monteiro, if you're on him, you would just wait just a little bit. So I think that's one there. That's some.
He's got the advantage now.
He does. That's by far the closest right now that we got going on. Golbic and Wickmeyer in the third set qualifying. Yanina Wickmeyer is another mom on tour, making her comeback and trying to make things interesting. Blinkhoven qualifying too. This is tough, right? You got qualifying. It's tough to make these main draws. The depth of the game is just so strong. We've got some interesting line movement on the Cornet match. I just want to point out the Cornet match, which I don't know if it started yet. If it has, but she's under plus 200 now. So remember we were talking at the start of the show, 3-1. Yeah, she's on serve, just on serve. Imagine that, right? We got 2-1 on serve. And Cornet's dipped from that plus 300 ticket. So if you liked her pre-match, maybe there's some value in what just happened. But I think Rome's going to be fun, man. I think it's going to be an interesting one to see if Jannik Sinner at the top of the men's game comes right back and plays well. Alcaraz in the field, but the injury situation, what is he going to put forward? And then, any other, Dustin, any other sleepers on the men's side? No Djokovic in this tournament. We'll see what his next if he does play before RG the week before, but any other men's sleepers you think? I mean, because it's been a wild and wacky road to Roland Garros on the men's side.
Put those odds up one more time. I want to see some of the
for the women.
Do you have the men or no?
No, we don't have the men yet because we got to get through the end or towards the end of qualifying.
So
Zverev. Zverev's won here last year?
No, not until he wins. I'm not putting any more money on that dude. By the way, of course I took Cerundolo against him.
Yeah.
Of course I took Cerundolo.
Of course you did.
That dude now, he's playing some tennis.
I would say looking at the seeds, and we'll see what the odds say. There's a lot to get to. Holger, any love for Holger? I know he's been up and down.
He is up and down. I thought he played well. Was it 2 tournaments ago?
Mm-hmm.
Thought he played well 2 tournaments ago, which surprised me. That was the tournament after Miami. He sucked. I kind of get confused where we're at. We're on the clay now, but I mean, he did play well. I would never bet on him with futures though. I just don't trust him enough.
I like Tommy Paul's section. Mahach, Felix Demonauer. I think he can get to the quarterfinals, and then that would be
Yeah.
The Rublev, Menchik, Fritz. We could see an All-American quarterfinal, maybe a little Taylor Fritz love, or, if you believe in Menchik just continuing to get better, those would be players to target. Draper has a weird, not weird, he similar, I guess most players like this, where you go good to bad back and forth, like a good run followed by maybe a little fatigue. So that is Holger's section, which is why I bring it up, Dustin. If Draper's a little fatigued, if he's not at his best, maybe it's time for Holger to avenge that and make a move. And yeah, but not knowing what Alcaraz is, the bottom section of the draw. That's why. So if we're not saying Zverev, right? If we're maybe cooing on him and we're not sure, then I'm going to throw some names at you, right? Musetti, Tsitsipas, Arthur Fils. Bottom section of the draw. I'd like to think that we got a semifinalist of that bunch.
Out of that bunch, who would I take? I was disappointed with Tsitsipas in Madrid a little bit. Went out with a little bit of a whimper there. I like Arthur Fils.
Wow. I think Musetti's played a lot of tennis. It's been great. He's had Tsitsipas's number. I would think my bold shot would be if we get third round Arthur Fils versus Stefano Tsitsipas, the winner of that match to beat Zverev or Shapovalov or somebody else, and then to beat the Medvedev Musetti section. Yeah. Wow. Arthur Fils. I think we're in agreement there. I think Fils to get to a semi, get some buzz going into Roland Garros, like the French kid coming in.
The French kid, yeah.
The one crowd where I think it will uplift you, but it'll also turn on you. So
he just needs to be a little less aggressive, like overly aggressive in critical moments. I think too many times, at least from my experience, watching and wagering on Arthur Fils, break points and opportunities. I think he just, instead of being a little not conservative, but hit an aggressive shot to a conservative spot instead of going for a freaking winner on a second serve return because you're just like, I got a second serve return. It's 15-40. It's like, man, just bring it back like 10%.
We have a break in the Cornet match. So that's what we told you going in. Maybe there's not rust there. Although I will, as history showed me, and I just remember Kvitova's first match back was in Austin against Jody Burrage. And she was up like 4-love early and lost that match. So could be the adrenaline of back on court. But yeah, up to plus 120. Wow. Yeah, I'm going back to your thought, Dustin. I definitely agree that Arthur Fils, he had a bad run, a bad match against Comesaña in Madrid. Really only his bad performance all year, if you think about it. So I think it might be time for him to right the ship. And Tsitsipas, Fils could be a good one. Or if it's Fils Zverev at some point, we know they have a little history, and he's beaten him twice in the last 2 years. So all that said, Dustin, this was a fun show. Anything else we want to get to before we wrap up? Some thoughts tomorrow. I'll flash your daily double. I get the matches you're looking at again tomorrow. But you want to play some of these matches as well. Get on Offner, Hanfman over, and Taberner, and then again on the Bet Rivers network, on the Bet Rivers app, you can get in on these early WTA Rome outrights if you see someone there. But fun stuff, Dustin. Anything else?
Good stuff, man. Safe travels back to Cali.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, this show is, again, it's Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We're on the Bet Rivers Network. The socials are Because We Win. This show is on at 1 o'clock Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll have main draw. We will have Wednesday main draw for both. Tomorrow, just main draw for the women. And Rome, 2 weeks of Rome. And then before you know it, Roland Garros is here. And we're going to have to crown a champion on both tournaments. So we'll see. But for Dustin Fox, I'm Mitch Michaels. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.